This pay-per-view sucked. The end.
The 0 stars.
I
No.
give it 2.5, and only because of the first match.
Oh my. Okay. So anyway, we're talking about Money in the Bank 2013. One
Ugh.
of the most hyped pay-per-views of the year. Did it deliver? Obviously,
No.
spoiler alert, it did not.
And let me make something clear. I'm generally pretty generous when it comes to, WWE pay-per-views. If this were any other pay-per-view, I probably would have given it a 6 or a 7. But this is Money in the Bank. This is supposed to be one of the best pay-per-views of the year. And match-wise, you did have some good matches, but the biggest flaw is the fact that throughout most of the night, the endings were terrible. And it wasn't because Herder, the guy I wanted to win, didn't win. It was because a lot of them were just stupid fucking endings.
So let's go through the match card. The Money in the Bank kickoff show had the Shield retaining the titles against the Usos, which I didn't actually watch that match.
I didn't see it either, but I honestly didn't expect anything else.
Yeah, and so then the actual show kicks off with Damian Sandow winning the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank in what is without a doubt match of the night.
Absolutely, they kicked off the show real well. In fact, the way that the match started, the way the first match went, I honestly thought we were going to be in for one hell of a pay-per-view. I
Oh
guess I
yeah,
was wrong.
we were hyped. There were some great spots in that.
My favorite spot was definitely the spot with Antonio Cesaro and Jack Swagger holding the ladder with Dean Ambrose on it, and he skins the cat onto the goddamn ladder. Admittedly, it was botched, but the
They
fact
still made it
is,
work.
it still worked, and it was cool looking. Second note, Cody Rhodes is fucking ready. I'm
Yeah.
just throwing that out there. Cody Rhodes is fucking ready.
The crowd got behind him, I think, more than anybody else.
That muscle buster spot.
That drop kick spot.
Cody Rhodes was definitely the highlight of that match, even though nobody expected him to make that big of an impact during the match.
Nope.
He definitely was the MVP of that match.
But it ended in his tag team partner betraying him over
Which,
championship gold, which is fine by me because that tag team was going nowhere but Jobsville.
honestly, everyone expected this. I mean, if you're going to turn one of them face, it's definitely going to be Rhodes over Sandow. And let me just say, I am perfectly okay with this outcome because I love Damian Sandow. That man is amazing. And I truly believe a lot of people in the wrestling community, they talk about how great of a promo man he is, and he is. He's one of the best in the company. But I think his in-ring work is heavily underrated.
It is. He's put on
He
some great shit.
he puts on some great matches. Hell, he got a great match out of Sheamus.
That says a lot right there.
I mean, Sheamus can have great matches with the right people, but Sandow and Sheamus have some kind of good chemistry for some reason. But Sandow works great with a lot of people, so it must be Sandow.
Yep. So the next match was Curtis Axel defeating The Miz to retain the Intercontinental Championship. And this is where I think the point where I stopped caring for a bit. Because
Yeah.
this match was boring. The Miz is shitty as a face. And they have yet to really get me interested in Curtis Axel.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I like Curtis Axel in ring, but the man is just abysmal on the mic.
Yep.
And honestly, to put this into perspective, during a later match, um, I completely forgot that this match happened. So that should give you an idea of how interesting this match was. And by interesting, I mean about as interesting as snails fucking. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody cares. Move on.
So in a match that surprised me in how actually decent it was, considering the people in it, AJ defeated Caitlyn by submission to retain the Divas Championship, which I was pleasantly surprised by that match. But it
Well,
was because my
those two
expectations for the
have
Divas are low.
those two have surprisingly good chemistry. While it's never going to top the Lita and Trish bouts, for what it for the modern era divas, they definitely seem to have those two spots secured as the two divas they can rely on to put on a good match together.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, we
honest.
knew AJ Lee was already pretty good, but Caitlyn's come so fucking far.
Oh yeah, Caitlyn has definitely improved. If anything, she's definitely a candidate for most improved, at least in the divas division, if not the whole WWE.
Yep, yep, yep. But she retained by the Black Widow, which does look really painful.
Yeah, I think part of that has to do with that elbow injury that she had.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
were
know.
playing that up the whole match, so.
Yeah, they were playing that up. So either she was legit injured and they just kind of had to change it at the last minute, or they just think that AJ is money. And despite some things that happen in the future, yeah, AJ is money. I mean, the crowd reacts to her.
Moving on, Ryback beat Chris Jericho in what was actually a surprisingly good Ryback match until the ending.
This is a common theme throughout the night, in that the matches themselves are good, but the endings are terrible, and thus kind of ruining the match. This was
Yep.
the first match that really got that ball rolling. Um, it was definitely a good back and forth match. Although personally, I think that the damage has been done to Ryback's character, and he's definitely not going to have a at least for a while. They might be able to build him up, but he's done as being a true main event talent for a while. I think he's
Yeah.
definitely going to flounder. He's going to be a mid card guy for a little while.
Yep. And they should have him dominant in those feuds.
Yeah,
Maybe even have him win a mid card title or something.
there
Just
was
to give him
really
something.
they and I know he's going to disagree with this, but I really think that he should have steamrolled over Jericho last night.
Yes. I don't think
I
not
think he
the
should have.
first
I
bout.
only because during the build up they made Ryback look like a bitch. They made Ryback look so shitty compared to how he has been up to that point. I mean, they built Ryback up to be like the next Lesnar or the next Goldberg, and then all of a sudden he's forfeiting matches and being a chicken shit, and it's like, no, you don't do that with somebody like Ryback. The
But
man's a
they
monster.
do it every time. You
I
know,
know they do. I know they do, and that's a common problem with WWE. On the shit that they should be consistent on, they're not, and on the shit that they shouldn't be consistent on, they are to a fucking T.
yep.
And I don't get it. How could you take someone like Ryback, a guy who is like what 6'7", 6'6"?
He's huge.
The guy's a fucking, as Vince McMahon would put it, he's a mastodon. I mean, come on. You don't build him. You don't build a guy like that to be a chicken shit. To take the cowardly way out. They did, like when they do that shit with somebody like Mark Henry. It really pisses me off because Mark Henry might not technically be the strongest man in the world at the moment, but the dude is fucking strong, like freakishly strong. And you don't, if you're that strong, you're not going to be a bitch.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And Ryback is pretty goddamn strong himself.
Yep.
So you don't make somebody like that a bitch, especially with a guy who's like is shorter, a lot lighter. You don't see. I think to build Ryback's momentum back up, they should have just had him. Maybe not a straight up squash, but it definitely should have been a lot more of a dominant victory than a roll up.
Yeah. But that's only the beginning of a trend that follows through the whole, as I said last night, and I was actually shockingly accurate, the whole second half of the card.
Yeah,
Next up was what had the potential to be the match of the night, at least for singles wise, was Del Rio versus Ziggler for the World Heavyweight Championship.
this this was turning out to be a great fucking match. I mean, this had potential for match of the year candidate
And then
until
Dumb Whore's music started playing and she started skipping around the ring, and we all knew what was coming. The second her music hit, we all knew what was coming. We just didn't know how it was going to happen.
she ended up costing him the match in the shittiest way possible. And I think JBL called it best. He was basically like, "We had a great match going, and this crazy diva came out and ruined it."
Yeah, because it was like a spot where well, what was WWE about to do to him?
They were getting up or something, and AJ blatantly got in the ring with the referee, looking right at her with the belt,
And
and
hit Del Rio with it.
and she smashed Del Rio in the face with it.
And Ziggler was pissed off. It's obvious where they're going with it.
Yeah,
Delmore is changing alliances yet again.
yeah. You know what? If I hope that they don't have her latch out of Del Rio as much as they just have her go off on her own.
Yeah, and maybe take Big E with her, but they're friend. He's friend zoned, so that's okay, and it's funny that way. But
Yeah, honestly though,
Big E needs to go on his own too. But
Big E either needs to stick with Ziggler or go on his own.
yeah. But then there's the most okay, maybe not the most disappointing match of the night, but probably the second most disappointing was Cena basically just killing Henry in his possible
Momentum.
retirement match. He just raped his
Oh,
momentum by spamming finishers at the end of the match.
this match was probably the worst match of the night,
And
and
that
not
says a
because
lot considering Curtis Axel and The Miz were on the show earlier.
this wasn't the worst match of the night wrestling wise. Well, I mean,
It
I
wasn't
don't really.
Henry's best, for
I
sure,
don't
because
listen. I don't. I'm not the kind of person who thinks that Cena's that shitty of a wrestler. I think for what he is, it works.
it
But I
didn't work
just
tonight or
it,
last
it
night.
didn't work tonight. Either it's an issue of them two not having the right chemistry, or it's an issue of just how it was booked. But the fact is, they made Henry tap out, which was like the worst way to go out. If they were going to have Henry lose, it shouldn't have been a tap out. It
Oh
should
no,
not have been a tap out. I had no problem with Henry losing. I expected this, but it should not have been a tap out.
definitely
And
not.
considering the fact that they basically had Henry kick out of the Attitude Adjuster, what was it, like one or two?
I think he kicked out of one, then Cena decided to go for submission holds like crazy.
Yeah, they had him kick out of the Attitude Adjustment at one, which was awesome because they fucking built that shit up like Henry was unstoppable.
Then 5 minutes later, he was tapping out.
And exactly, then 5 minutes later, oh, he taps out. And then Cena no selling the goddamn beating he took. Of course, Cena kicks out of the World's Strongest Slam. We expected this. But the tap out was definitely the wrong way to go. I think what they should have done was maybe have like some kind of crazy ass spot or something. I don't know. I really don't know what the fuck they should have done, but the submission definitely ain't it.
And at this point, I would hope that they give Henry one last storyline that's not with Cena,
They
to redeem him.
and honestly, what pisses me off about this the most is that Henry was built up so fucking well. I mean, this was definitely this build up that they had. I'm not gonna say it topped the Hall of Pain, but it was right there. It was right
Yep.
there. I mean, I'm a huge mark for Mark Henry, Hall of Pain Mark Henry specifically, but I was just disappointed by that shit because they
We
fucked
both
with it.
were. They annihilate that storyline was a waste of time because Henry's buildup was absolutely killed, and he fucking tapped like a little
They
bitch
should have
too. He tapped
what they
almost instantly, and then third, and like that second STF, he just dragged him away from the ropes and he tapped out instantly. Like there was no
I
struggle for
think
the second one.
I think the best thing that they could have done, which I know they wouldn't have, was have Henry win the title that night, and then the next night he has a legitimate retirement ceremony, and they vacates the title.
Yep.
That would have been the best. Or if they couldn't do that, have him lose to Cena the next night.
Yep.
You know,
But he needed this title win for
he
his.
he needed this title win, and it was kind of bullshit that they didn't give it to him. But even though he lost last night, I still think that losing last night could have been done better too.
Yep.
So all in all, this was just like the worst possible outcome.
But that wasn't even the most disappointing match of the night. It gets worse. The
Ugh.
the main event, the
The Money in
Raw
the Bank
Money in the
Raw
Bank
All
match.
Stars match.
which which was for what it was. I will say it wasn't as good as the SmackDown one,
No,
but
it was obviously a lot more formulaic.
yeah,
That the SmackDown one kind of just came off as like chaos,
yeah, which is fine because I like both
which is
versions of
great.
those Money in the Bank matches. I
Which
like
is great.
formulaic and chaotic.
Well, for a huge multi-man ladder match, it better be chaotic.
Yeah,
I don't think the Raw one definitely was not as good as the SmackDown one,
oh
both
no,
match-wise and outcome.
oh, outcome. Ugh.
Well,
It
but
had some good spots in it though.
it had some good moments. It had some memorable moments. Um, but there was definitely a formula to it, which I didn't think worked. I will give two people a lot of credit though, Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. Sheamus took so many ridiculous bumps. I thought he was going to be hurt for a good long time.
The last bump he took, especially,
Yeah,
he
well,
landed directly on his arm.
or how about the one where he fell off the ladder and his leg went on top of the goddamn ladder?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Oh, I thought Sheamus was going to be hurt for good. Like, not for good, but I definitely thought that Sheamus was fucking injured and would be, and he definitely, that last spot definitely took him out of the match, though.
Yep. And
But
RVD did pretty well too.
my biggest issue with this match, though, and not the outcome per se, well, the outcome is obviously my biggest issue with this match, but other than the outcome, my biggest issue with this match was it ran under the formula of two people get in the ring while everyone else is outside dead.
Yep. And there
There,
were some occasions where there was a third person, but it was only to take out one and make it back to two.
other than the beginning of the match, which had all 6 competitors in it, for the most part, you either saw 2 or 3 guys at max in the ring at a time. And I don't think for a multi-man match that works, you know? For a match
Yep.
like that, where it's supposed to be a bunch of crazy shit going on.
It's probably because they were trying to protect more of their top talent than they were trying to protect the SmackDown talent.
That's probably what it was, but at the same time, that made the match kind of boring.
I don't know, I still liked the match.
I mean, the match was all right, but I mean, if how am I trying to put this? If the SmackDown match didn't happen, the Raw match probably would have been a lot better. You
Either
know,
way, the wrong man won.
that's true. Actually, no. Before we get to that, we also have one major storyline thing.
Right. Curtis Axel came out and beat the shit
And
out of Daniel Bryan, and that caused Paul Heyman to come out. Well, first Punk GTS the fuck out of Axel, which I thought was great.
yeah, and then Heyman comes out and is yelling at Axel, and then lo and behold, Paul Heyman betrays CM Punk while he's climbing the ladder, and good God, did he bust Punk
Oh
open
my god,
that
Punk
fucking
actually
thing.
posted a picture on Twitter of the gash on his head.
Yeah,
It's pretty fucking. It was pretty gross looking. Like Heyman
yeah,
stepped him hard with that ladder.
yeah. Honestly, we knew this was gonna happen.
Yep.
We knew that Heyman and Punk were gonna separate, which we knew it was gonna happen. We didn't know how it was gonna happen, but we knew it was gonna happen.
I think this
Honestly,
this is gonna work well for Punk's character, if anything.
yeah, this is definitely
'Cause
going to work well for. And I know some people don't agree with me on this, but I think ever since he came back at Payback or whatever it was, he's been kind of sort of phoning it in. So I honestly think that with this new twist in things, it'll help to reinvigorate his character a little bit
yeah.
and
Well,
maybe get him
to be
to.
fair, they haven't given him much to do. And
Oh no,
as
I'm
I was
I'm not.
saying to you last night, after facing the Undertaker at WrestleMania and having that 400-day title reign, what is there left to really do?
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with that. Not at all. There's definitely reasons why he's phoning it in. But the fact is, he's been phoning it in, and I think that with this new thing going on, with him obviously going up against Lesnar at SummerSlam, I mean, if you didn't see this coming, you haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
But with this new thing going on, I hope that'll reinvigorate his character a little bit. And I'm looking forward to Brock and Punk.
I
I
am
am
too.
so looking forward to that.
I think Punk
Um,
will bring a lot of good things out of Lesnar in that one.
yeah, if they're gonna do that though, they need to do like a no DQ match or something like that.
Yeah.
It needs to be because honestly, it's not an issue of Brock being a bad wrestler because he's not. Brock is a great wrestler, but the issue is you how do you have CM Punk go up against Brock Lesnar in a regular match and have it look like he stands even a remote chance?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Punk is a lot smaller than Lesnar. Nobody would believe it if CM Punk out-wrestled Brock.
I
It's
guess. I don't know.
no, Brock. Listen, Brock is too goddamn
Well,
strong for
there's a
that man
case
to
of
overcome.
squashing Lesnar and then like out wrestling Lesnar. They're two different things.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be like, see, how can I put this? The way Brock is built, character-wise, where even huge fucking legendary main event talents or the top face of the company cannot outpower or out wrestle Brock. You know what I mean? They're not going to have CM Punk do it, and it wouldn't be believable. Like, for example, it took Triple H, like, what, 3 pedigrees on a steel steps to keep Brock down? And
Yeah.
it took John Cena a chain shot to the face to keep Brock down? They're not just
Yeah.
going to have CM Punk come in and just out wrestle Brock. They're not going to do it. That would make Brock look like total shit.
Yeah, and they're not. I mean, we know they're not. But
They couldn't do it.
if they
It
didn't
would,
do it to Triple H, they're not gonna do it to CM Punk.
yeah, they can't. They can't do that to Brock. It would be stupid. It would, and people would know it's stupid and call that bullshit out immediately, regardless of the fact that it's Punk.
Yep. But anyway, the actual back to the match and the pay-per-view, so we can wrap this up. Randy Orton actually won the fucking match.
That I was so fucking pissed off about that.
He was so pissed off that this review was gonna be up last night, but he was so pissed off he didn't want to do it anymore.
No, I really didn't. Honestly, and I kind of dreaded it this morning. But honestly, I was pissed off last night. But in hindsight, this could work if they do it right.
I'm sorry, but I do not want Cena Orton again. I've seen that match enough times for a lifetime.
I I hope that Randy Orton has a heel turn, punts Cena in the head, and then just steals the belt from him.
I
You
guess
know,
that'd be fine, but I
like I
still
hope,
don't
like
think that Orton needs the briefcase to turn heel, and that's what they think they have to do. That's the only reason why he's won this thing, is because
it's the
they
easy.
think he needs this contract to turn heel when a simple punt to the head would turn him heel.
I think the best thing that they could do with this would be to have him chicken shit his way to the title. You know, have him chicken shit his way to the title, and then when that's done, have Daniel Bryan go up against him.
I'd be
That is
fine
the
with that as long as they don't Christian Daniel Bryan to him.
Yeah, they better not Christian Daniel Bryan to him. But Daniel Bryan is so fucking over at this point that not having the belt on him is a crime.
Oh yeah, the crowd was dying for him to win that match.
Did you see the crowd's reaction after the match?
They were quiet.
They were silent.
Yeah,
They
there
weren't
was
even
not a
booing.
cheer, not a boo. Just
They
what's
were.
worse than booing is silence.
This was almost as bad as when Bo Dallas won the NXT Championship as far as crowd reaction. As far as crowd reaction goes, this was almost as bad. For a little perspective, I know not a lot of people watch NXT, but
Because they can't or don't know how
well,
to.
yeah, there's ways to watch it online, which I recommend you do because NXT is fucking awesome. It's easily the best show WWE puts out at the moment. But when Bo Dallas beat Biggie Langston for the title, the crowd was so pissed off that they literally turned their backs on him.
Oh my god.
You could see people in the crowd facing the opposite direction with their backs toward the camera.
Whoa.
In the actual post production, like in the actual in future shows, they ended up dimming the lights on the audience so that wouldn't come up on camera.
Damn.
Yeah. There were constant chants of no more Bo. Uh, we hate Bo. Bo, please go. You know, people hate Bo Dallas. And rightfully so. And I think that while what happened at Money in the Bank didn't quite reach that level of fan disappointment, it was close. It was definitely the second closest thing I've seen to just full on, like, this was not a good decision
Yeah,
based crowd reaction.
and that's what they're supposed to base their decisions on, because you want the crowd needs to be behind who you're pushing.
I know,
And
but
the one person they're behind Daniel Bryan and RVD, and we all knew RVD didn't need it either. But to say they weren't behind him because they were in Philly would be a lie. But they were extremely hot for Daniel Bryan.
yeah, they were. And I obviously part of this comes from the fact that WWE has no realistic competition, and I don't give a fuck what anyone says. TNA is not realistic competition.
They're not that, which is a whole different discussion we could
I
do.
mean,
But
a quick side rant. TNA has gotten better. We're not going to deny that. TNA has gotten better. But the fact is, TNA is like a roller coaster. Sometimes they have their up moments, and many times they have their way down moments. And the fact is, TNA's problem is lack of consistency. And the fact is, they're not consistently good. They tend to make a lot of really dumb decisions, and there's a reason why the common phrase is LOL TNA.
yeah, and
It's
I
as
still
simple as
haven't
that.
properly watched TNA since. Okay, when was the Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, Karen
Oh my
Jarrett
god, that
stuff?
was like, oh my god, that was like 2010.
Yeah, I haven't watched TNA since that.
It might have been 2011 at the latest, but
Yeah,
it
I
definitely.
haven't consistently watched TNA. 'Cause that storyline turned me off from that company so bad that I just know the cliff notes of what's been going on through dirt sheets.
Yeah, I haven't watched TNA regularly myself. I think I only caught like 2 episodes within the past 3 years.
I've
Uh,
watched the stuff that my uncle in Ireland makes me watch because he likes TNA. He prefers WWE, but he likes TNA too.
Bound for Glory 2011, I think, was the last time I watched it,
Ooh,
or maybe 2010. I don't remember. No, 2010 was when Immortal happened, so it was 2011.
yeah,
But after that, I in 20 and after that I came back for Destination X in 2012, and then I stopped watching again because Destination X is generally pretty good.
yeah. And it's not even a pay per view this year.
Yeah, it's just a regular show, which whatever. But
That's not so
never.
what we're famous for.
But the fact is, that's completely irrelevant bullshit. Money in the Bank had a lot of potential here. The matches were good. The matches weren't the problem. It was the outcomes, and not so. And like I said, not very much having to do with, Herder, my God, didn't win except for the Money in the Bank main event match. But although that match kind of lacked too, in my opinion. But just the way it was done was just terrible. And the endings of those match really ruined them for me. So if I'm gonna give this pay per view a score, I know I said 2.5 in the beginning, but I'll be a little more generous and say a 4.
Are we going on
At
a scale of 1 to 5 or
1 to 10.
1 to 10?
If we were going 1 to 5, I'd give it a 1.
God. Uh, I'll probably a lot of the endings were definitely not in my favor. There was the match I didn't care about, which they're not supposed to have those. When on a pay per view, I believe you should always be at least somewhat excited for a match or anticipating a match, even if it's the Divas, because there's build up to it. But the lack of build up or interest or even attempt at interest between Curtis Axel and The Miz did not help my score. It's sad that I was more excited for a Divas match than that match. That says a lot about the people involved in it. Um, if anything, the only saving grace for this pay per view was the SmackDown title match. Oh, or ladder match, I mean.
The
So,
the SmackDown Money in the Bank match and the first 3 quarters of the Dolph Ziggler Del Rio match are what gave this pay per view a 4 for me.
yeah, I'm going to give it like a 3.5.
But other than that, everything else I could completely get rid of. It it seems to be a trend after 2011's Money in the Bank that they're not getting as good as they once were. The 2010, like, I
And
guess it's kind of.
that's not even because of the CM Punk thing, but like that had good ladder matches that year
Do
too.
you want to? I mean, we kind of talked about this last night. There's been 4 Money in the Bank pay-per-views. Do you want to just kind of put them in order from best to worst?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll go first. The first one that I would consider the best, obviously the 2011 Money in the Bank. That one didn't just have good matches. There was a feel to that match, an atmosphere. Not to that match, well, to the match too, but to that whole pay-per-view, there was an atmosphere there that you knew something big was going to happen.
Yep.
And we got a lot of big things. That was the start of Daniel Bryan's main event push. That was the start of CM Punk's WWE title reign.
Well, his first one. That was
His
his
first
first
one.
one.
His first one.
But it's the basically what I would consider like the prelude to what was to
It was
come.
yeah, exactly. It was the eye before the storm. There was and there were a bunch of really good matches that night. Even the Big Show and Mark Henry put on a hell of a match, considering the two.
Yep.
Um, and there was some other match. I think the only match that night that was an absolute dud was the Divas match, which, and that's not to say that women's wrestling can't be good. It can be.
It was Kelly and Brie Bella. So
Was
yeah.
that the one in 2011? I thought it was like Eve in one of
Nope.
them.
It was Kelly with Eve against Brie Bella, who had Nikki with her.
Okay, so yeah, that match sucked. So, next would be 2012. That was actually a really good. That was actually a pretty good Money in the Bank. Um, you had Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship,
Which was
which
great despite the
would
fact AJ was there.
yeah. Um, honestly, that match alone kind of made that pay per view for me. Um,
Ziggler won
you had
Money in the
Dolph
Bank.
Ziggler winning the Money in the Bank,
And that's led to great things for him, obviously.
and who won the Raw one?
Cena.
Cena. Oh yeah.
But that's what led to him being the first person to fail to cash in Money in the
Yeah,
Bank first.
that's true. That's true.
Because he lost his punk.
Um, third place would be 2010, which had Kane win the SmackDown Money in the Bank and go
And
on to have his title run
cash in the same night.
and win the title that way, which led to his awesome world title reign. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Heel 2010 Kane was awesome, and
Was.
despite some people not liking his matches with Undertaker, I thought they were pretty good.
You know
But that's
what's
because
weird?
I'm an
The
Undertaker and Kane.
2010
So.
the 2010 Money in the Bank also had the Usos going for the tag team titles.
Yeah, that is weird. But anyway,
That
um,
team's going nowhere.
unfortunately, that was also the Money in the Bank where the Miz won. I think.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. I was a fan of Miz's title reign at the beginning, except for the Lawler stuff. I'll exclude that. But like, I thought that was
Actually, his TLC match with Lawler was probably one of his best matches of that fucking reign.
true. I just think his title reign could have been worse, and it was nice to see someone new at the time because
It could have been worse, but for the most part, it just felt so uneventful.
yeah. But to me, that's how Swagger's World Heavyweight Championship reign was. So
No, it wasn't.
to me, that's
Swag-
what it was. I'm telling you, I wasn't a fan of
Swagger's
Swagger.
reign, Swagger's reign pre Big Show killing him.
And then
He.
Rey Mysterio beating him for the title.
That's what I said. That's what I'm saying. Pre Big Show, because the Big Show stuff came first. But before Big Show killed his momentum, Swagger beat Randy Orton clean, which not many people did at the time. So, yeah. And not to mention the Swagger
Still,
Soaring Eagle.
you still can't sell me on his title reign. No matter you Swagger Mark, no matter how hard you try.
Listen, the second half of Swagger's reign was terrible, but the first half was great.
I still didn't like the fact he cashed in on Jericho. That's the Jericho mark in me, though.
Oh yeah, I forgot. He also had that fuck awesome triple threat match on SmackDown between him, Edge, and Jericho,
Yep. See, I wanted the Jericho and Edge feud to
which
continue
was
more
TV,
than
which
it
was
did.
TV match of the year, by the way.
It was.
But
Anyway,
And obviously, in fourth place would be this year's Money in the Bank. You know what? We forgot to talk about something in the actual main event of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, the ladder match. Kane didn't show up because of his injuries, and no one replaced him.
Yeah, we were all kind of hoping for Bray Wyatt, and then
Or
nothing
at
happened.
least somebody.
But I guess 6 works better for them than 7 people, because
Yeah,
7 people was a weird number. Like, normally
yeah,
it's not an odd number,
fine.
but they should have replaced them.
And of course, Bray Wyatt had one of his cryptic, not actually coming true tweets on Twitter.
Which is bullshit.
But I'll tell you what, though, the man can hype a pay-per-view.
Yeah, yeah,
Without
'cause you
actually,
think he's gonna
without
be
actually,
there.
without actually doing anything. That's how over Bray Wyatt is. He makes you think he's going to show up, and everybody anticipates him, and then he don't show up, and it's like, oh, okay. But anyway, we've been rambling now for almost 40 minutes or something like that. I don't know. Has it
Yep.
been 40 minutes?
It's we're at the 38 mark now, but there's that first couple of minutes I'm cutting out because we weren't really talking about this yet.
Oh, okay.
But I guess in other wrestling related news, Ultimate Warrior was officially revealed as a pre-order bonus for 2K14.
Which we all knew was
We
coming.
all knew, surprised no one, but still neat. It's his first appearance in any of the games.
Meh.
Hey, at least it's not. At least he's more relevant than Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson made sense, though.
Well, they're saying this game is gonna have a lot of Golden Era people in it.
Actually, that'd be kind of awesome.
Yeah, think about it though.
But it, but Tyson at least made sense.
Well, if they're going for
Ultimate
Golden
Warrior,
Era, then so does Ultimate Warrior.
I think a better one would have been Bruno.
Well, who's saying he's not in the game?
I know he's going to be in the game, but I'm saying as a pre-order bonus, Bruno Sammartino would have been like the top choice because Bruno Sammartino is just one of those people who's like, he was the guy before Hogan. Like in wrestling, it didn't matter what territory you were in, you knew who Bruno Sammartino was.
Yeah, I guess it's because a lot of like casual fans will recognize Warrior more than San Martino, but
Maybe so.
and they gotta appeal to the casual because it's a video game. I know that you would want San Martino, but you gotta think about this from a 2K standpoint.
I do hope Sammartino's in the game though.
If they're going for Golden Era, they can't ignore him. So
I do hope he's in the game. Actually, we're gonna end this here, right now, because I have other plans. So,
oh, all right then.
yeah, that was our Money in the Bank show thing. Whatever.
Review.
Bye.